All right, welcome back, Ben. Keep on Grendelin and Vivat Grendel. Vivat Grendel, Ben.
What's up, Eli? Welcome back to it's episode 10. Can you believe it?
I know, dude. We're really making way here.
It's The Devil in Detail, our Grendel comic book reread podcast.
That's right.
We're deep into black, white, and red.
Yes, we are almost done. Yeah, 3 killer tales. Not a lot of Grendel in these tales. Mostly Hunter and Stacy centric. But we'll get into that in a minute. Let's catch up a little bit. Let's catch up in liquor. Remember that joke?
It rings a bell.
It's ringing bells?
It rings a vague bell.
Because you're supposed to just think you're talking about ketchup, the topping, and liquor, the drink. But what you're actually leading up to is that you're trying to catch up with.
Right. It makes me feel like I'm 15. I get it.
Gotcha. I didn't need to explain it to you, did I?
It's a smart joke, and a smart crowd will get it. So what'd you do this week, Eli?
Oh, man. What didn't I do this week? A lot I didn't do. No, mostly a lot of reading. I'm kicking on, still reading Scioli's Kirby book. It's been amazing. I finished my story for the Grendel zine and sent it in to Cabbage Comics. Just got final word on Wizard coming back. Didn't do much this week, I guess. Not a lot to catch up on. Dang, I'm boring.
Yeah, well, you're a busy guy. You deserve a week off.
Hey, thanks, dude. How about you, man? What's up?
Well, today I'm mostly thinking about my niece, who is about 10 hours old right now.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty exciting. She's my parents' first grandchild.
Very nice.
So we're pretty pumped about that. And this week I used the infamous FrameForge software,
right.
And I made 2 pages of comics with it, which was kind of a trip.
How do you do? So you like generate those characters, like you build the characters' hair, like mustache kind of thing?
How buff and how fat they are and how Roman their nose is and all that.
Yeah, kind of like building a character on like The Sims or like a video game style.
Yeah, it's a lot of dragging and dropping. It's a lot more complicated doing it for comics than it is for just keeping it all in program for storyboarding, because there's a lot of things where I'm a little blind because, okay, first of all, my Wacom stylus died this week. So I'm a little hobbled in Photoshop. So I'm going between FrameForge and Photoshop on my laptop and then putting it into Procreate.
Gotcha.
And I'll find a little mistake here and there, and it's a lot of back and forth. But there's a lot of stuff where for compositions, you're a bit blind for like balloon placement and stuff like that. So compositionally for balloons and layouts, it's not quite as tight as I would like it to be. But it has an interesting effect. And I'm going to try to do some studying up on cinematography and lighting for film so that I can really make the work shine.
Oh, nice.
And I think I've got maybe a 15 to 20 page project that will become.
Oh, wow. You're gonna actually try to make like a full book that way, or an idea.
Yeah, we'll see. It's written by my friend who was my first friend when I moved to New York. He was my freshman roommate, and
nice.
We've been buddies for, in September it'll be 18 years, if you can believe it.
Wow.
So
it's nice to have friends for that long.
It's nice to have friends.
At all, yeah.
Yeah, at all. It is nice to have friends for that long. I have a handful of friends, 25-year friends, and we're currently in a Dungeons and Dragons campaign that we're playing across Zoom and Slack.
Oh wow!
And it's an all furry adventure crew. Everyone's an animal person. It just worked out that way.
Nice.
So,
that sounds fun, dude. I've never done D&D, man. I definitely want to.
There's different styles. Our dungeon master is one of my best and most annoying friends. And he is a data scientist with a PhD in, I don't really know. I don't understand what he does. he lives in LA. You should hang out with him. He makes a lot of money to be very, very smart, and he really gets off on the numbers. And when I suggested that we play like a more role play centric rule system, he goes, no. Anyway,
That's funny.
what a great segue to get into that intro.
Two in the box, ready to go. Maybe fast, maybe slow. Yeah. Vivat Grenoff.
It's like the devil is my best friend. 100 rows with the pen to the fork end, or till time end. Like Orion, Jupiter, my kin, bloodline private. We control the whole shit. The wolf won't beef, then we feast off the rip. Behold the devil in detail. Behold the devil in detail.
All right. What an intro, dude. So fun.
Manus and Zach.
Yep. Thanks, guys. This week's Grendel shirt is thank you to John K. Snyder for the art from the God and the Devil era, I guess. And I wanted to shout out to Joe Nolan. He won. He heard his name, and he's getting the Christine Spar action figure sent out to him, and also a Grendel #1 bootleg zine that I'm putting together today.
Oh,
It's gonna be cool. I'm sure that Ben wants one.
we have 3 killer tales today, as we said.
Yes, we do.
Are you a Paul Chadwick fan?
Concrete's always, it's just one of those stories that you always see. I always saw in Wizard. You always hear about it as like one of the greatest comic tales. I hadn't really read it much till recently. And then I got like a trade off Comixology Unlimited and just binged a bunch of it. I like it. It's a very interesting story. So mostly I know Peach Ads through his work with Concrete.
Yeah, I know Concrete a little bit. I think I'm actually most familiar with a mini series he did called The World Below, which is kind of a crazy sci-fi journey to the center of the earth kind of thing.
Cool.
And when I think about Paul Chadwick, I think about natural imagery, themes about ecology, the environment.
Yeah, he has that the Concrete was it Earth Day special with that amazing Mobius tale.
Yeah, man.
That's a good book.
But I think he's done a lot of storyboarding work, and that's kind of, I think that's been what he's been mostly up to for
Interesting.
20
like he does that,
years.
He does it for film and TV stuff?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think he's out west. I don't know.
Interesting.
Ask Matt. I don't know.
Um,
Anyway, this tale is called The Devil's Garden, Stacy and Hunter.
Pretty interesting little story here. It's like not a ton happens. It's mostly introspective as far as the story goes. They're walking along here in the opening splash. Looks like they're at like a arboretum or at like a. Oh wow! I just noticed the Grendel eyes in the clouds.
Oh, there they are. Very, very cool. Sneaky Paul Chadwick.
Hey, Peach Ads. Nice work.
This is the first story, I believe, that's from Stacy's point of view. And it would seem as if she's writing it, I would say, as a young adult.
Right.
Kind
of reminiscing.
Yeah, well, I mean, do you reminisce when you're institutionalized? But
I guess not.
I think that's what she's doing, yeah.
That's the way I looked at it through my story as well. Like, it's perhaps presented as a journal entry, but it's probably just like in her mind, like because she's kind of trapped in there as her life goes on. It seems like, don't you think?
Very, very, very much trapped, I'd say.
Yeah.
She says that she always wanted a pet. Uncle Barry wouldn't let her have one, and Uncle Hunter said that they would destroy the furniture, which is silly because he has an unlimited amount of money.
Yeah.
And I think I read that and a lot of what's going on in here as him subtly manipulating and controlling her.
It does seem like that. Yeah. He doesn't really listen to her. He's kind of like, going on about grooming and the child and oh no, he's talking about the growlers are the earliest blooming.
not grooming. It's, but
the royal scarlet roses. Oh,
exactly.
Of course, Hunter knows all about roses.
Of course,
so
they bloom so beautiful, and they were on the next page. He's talking about how they were like the original sign of love, the like Greek sign of love or something.
Mm-hmm. Stacy says here that this is really poignant. As a child, she remembers she only thought about things dying. She didn't think about things living and growing, only death, because she'd had so much change in the first 6.5, 7 years of her life. She
Right.
lost Barry. She lost her parents and then Barry.
She barely even remembers her parents,
Yeah.
That'd be
So-
an interesting tale to conceptualize.
How they died,
Columbos.
and what the tragedy that led to their death was like.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we've got, Hunter is trying to do his sweet mentoring parenting thing. But I think that it's very hard for him to not make things all about himself.
Agreed. Yeah. And I mean, even when he's trying to like teach her lessons or whatever, it's kind of, it's only from his perspective. It's like,
Mhm.
this is what, I obviously know everything best. And so they're kind of going, he's going on about, how it's a horrible tragedy is basically all she's ever known. You've lost 2 families at such a young age. She's like, it's confusing, like I'm having a hard time not being glum, even being able to be a kid.
And then he's taking any inroad back to the lesson at hand, which is talking about roses and all that and their
Right.
symbolic meanings. And he's kind of a jerk. He doesn't really connect very well with people, it would seem.
Yeah, this story and the next one really go to show that Hunter is feelingless, has no remorse, no empathy, no any of that.
So Stacy finds a spider web and
A friend.
and then here's Hunter with another pearl of wisdom, except this time it actually connects and it becomes something that Stacy uses to explore the themes of her life. Spiders are creatures of pure existence. They live only to kill and create, solitary and serene.
Mm-hmm. Maybe she sees like a little kindred ship with these spiders or something, like they kill and they create, and she's kind of like, I guess that's all I know is like death and creation, or I don't know.
Well, we're all trapped in Hunter's web.
That's true.
And everyone, it would seem, is trapped in the web of destiny, except for Hunter. And we'll explore that in this middle tier, which is really, Paul Chadwick really goes all out in this killer examination of the meaning of Hunter's early life as he opens up to her and says, I've never told you this, but I also felt utterly alone as a child as well.
Mm-hmm. And like as we can see here, it's like each little area of the spider web is a different panel, is a different close up, or a different, showing him doing his homework, all the different people, fencing, his suburban upbringing, these faceless people in his life. They don't even occupy a space in his memory because none of them meant anything to him. They're all
Right.
faceless.
I really like this. All you don't need to see the guy whose face is covered by his balloon is just like this fat, doughy schmuck.
Oh, right.
Totally worthless. The one thing that I really enjoyed about this panel is there is a strand that isn't in the web, and it sort of lyrically kind of floats through. And I saw that as Hunter kind of making his own destiny.
Right. Like that's
Getting out.
the one timeline part that actually led him somewhere, the fencing.
Really, really creative. And I kind of wonder if that was in Matt's script or if that was something that Peach Ads put in or whatever. I also like how he kind of one-ups Stacy a little bit. I had no one to rely upon. No Uncle Barry or Uncle Hunter, which is very weird. That reminds me of, my dad say, oh, I'd walk uphill 5 miles both ways to get to school in a snowstorm, when I would complain as a kid. all the time.
It's always worse. It's always worse on
Mhm.
hunters.
Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to talk about Hunter's pocket watch and his cane.
Okay.
Do you think that this cane, he's a very stylish guy, obviously. He cares about the furnishings in the apartment more than getting this kid a dog.
Of course.
Do you think that Paul Chadwick intends for this walking stick to be the fork? Do you think that Hunter feigns like a limp? Do you think it's like just an accessory? What's your take on Hunter and the cane?
Because he wouldn't really need the fork right now. However, it seems as though he's always ready. And we see another time, the time where he's at the party and he immediately goes that like the fork comes out of this and he's able to like kind of flip it around or something like that. Like the top screws off and like the fork's in there or something.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't seem out of place for that to be the fork and for him to kind of like always have it with him no matter where he is, just in case he needs to like snap into business, you know?
He's such an enigmatic person that it's just like another, I'm sure people in this world are like, what does this 20-year-old need with a cane? He walks just fine,
Yeah.
But I digress.
Oh,
Cool.
What about the clock? What do you think? Oh,
I just thought it was another touch of just like how stylish this person is, and like he's, he is a old soul. He is a middle-aged man in a young man's body.
For sure.
Right.
And this last panel, Stacy's face too is strange. Strangely,
Yeah,
looks like a wolf.
That's a very Chadwick.
That's highly Chadwickian.
That was my thought when I looked at it. I would say that the panel before of Hunter looking at the watch is like so incredibly graceful and appealing, and that's one of the things that it speaks to what I like about Paul Chadwick, which is that it's, God, I don't want to say naturalistic and misuse the term, but it's realistic and naturalistic without being slavish. Like, we've looked at the tracers, and
Yeah.
I can see why someone would like fall all over themselves for it, but this has more like kind of heart, and I would say probably more like raw talent behind it for my taste, at least.
Yeah. He's definitely a creative cartoonist and storyteller, obviously, from all of his work that he's done. So
yeah, it's funny how how rooted in reality and nature and like biology this stuff is, but then he brings in all the weirdo aliens, and you should really check out the other series I mentioned. I think it's called The World Beneath or something like that.
Oh, I definitely want to. Yeah, I've got a list from you from the last couple apps, man.
I've got a list from you.
Alrighty. So next page, we see it wasn't all bad living with Uncle Hunter, but she didn't really have any friends, and her 8th birthday party was all this amazing stuff, but no one was there except for Uncle Hunter and Uncle Larry.
Yeah,
who
and
smells
Larry
like an ashtray.
Yeah, continuously smoking Larry Stoller
Nonstop.
There's a lot of good Larry stuff this week.
Yeah.
I really appreciate a few things here. One is that this scene and then I think the next take place are kind of isolated on spreads. And I don't know I obviously don't know if they were, I didn't check, if they were presented that way in floppy. But I like that I can just absorb 2 consecutive scenes on 2 consecutive spreads.
Right.
And then I would also say that the apartment, penthouse, suite, whatever you want to call this enormous, incredibly expensive place that he lives in, I think another creator might, I don't want to say like build a model or like design a set. I know that Gerhard would do that, or who's the mouse guard guy? Peterson?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't read that.
Those guys would build physical models so that Sean Gordon Murphy does it for his spaceships and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So that you can like rotate it in, not even in a program, but in real life. And, it seems like Matt just says to these guys, yeah, he lives in this lavish place. Do whatever you want to do with it. And there are very few like of the Art Deco touches in this one
True.
compared to the Disraeli one. The windows in Disraeli were very high and peaked.
Mm-hmm.
But the Art Deco, I think that these like end tables by the door on the left, it's like a vertical fit. It's like a fish leaping out of water.
Right. Oh yeah.
And then the end tables have a touch of that Art Deco kind of layering on them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Maybe this is just like this is kind of a different area. We've never seen the like dining room. We've never seen this area.
Well, the molding on the walls by the thresholds
Right.
is kind of like, I don't know how I'm gonna make a fool of myself if I say it's pre-war, blah blah blah. It's like it's like just before like mid-century modern. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like a lot of my apartment kind of has some of that stuff going on, and this is a 100-year-old building.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the lettering as they sing "Happy Birthday" is really great.
Very cool. Like Dear Stacy.
Yeah.
Like on the where the like melody would go up and down. It's really there. And
Yeah,
she would for a
I go
puppy,
for
a
that.
pony, a kitty, a hamster, a fish, and a parakeet. All of the pets she could possibly ever want.
Yeah, but all she gets is stuffed animals.
All she gets is a cigarette stench. I really do like how in this last panel, though, Larry's smoke kind of goes in and out of these like streamers that are from. I guess actually it's the smoke of the candles and the smoke of a cigarette that's kind of like weaving.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, the cigarette has its own kind of smoke, and then the candles have their own. And also when she blows out the candles, the perspective on the smoke is super cool.
Yeah, coming right out. 8 candles are no match for such a mighty gale.
Good job, darling. He's so weird. He's such a
He's on again, off again too. He's kind of like, I don't know, like because he obviously loves her, but is he like feigning interest in these type of menial things? Is he like?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think that he was granted just enough goodness to trick himself to think that he cared about her.
Yeah.
I also like that he's helping her blow out the candles in panel 2.
Oh yeah, you can see his mouth. It's kind of like.
Which is a little weird.
Yeah. Was it a mighty gale or was it a mighty hunter?
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he talks about, when he talks about the spider, he talks about how he learned to hunt. He learned to be not a pushover, how to take control of his own destiny and all that shit before.
Yep. Another stuffed animal. Gee, thanks, Uncle Hunter.
I love the silhouettes in the background. I didn't see them until just now.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Isn't that
That's
crazy?
great. Yeah, it's like the previous action. It's like him handing her the gift.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Really cool. It's a lot. I mean, it's easier to read her profile, but I feel like I just like didn't see it.
Yeah. I didn't see the full action either.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's kind of lamenting then that Argent couldn't make it out, where I'm sure he wasn't even invited.
Yeah, and I love that Larry takes point in explaining this one.
Uh-huh.
They just Larry is left to babysit her. Like, this is not what he signed up for.
No.
But he does it anyway. He's like, he like happily extends the charade just to like get deeper in the shit with Hunter.
Exactly. And he's just like, oh, come on, baby, or eat up. It's a white chocolate and raspberry truffle. Thanks, I guess, she says as Grendel escapes over the roof.
Yeah, this is the first time that they try to like impress her with extravagant food in this story.
Yeah.
I wish Argent could come to the party. He's busy with the police. Maybe next year. So not like, oh, Argent can come this weekend.
Right.
Maybe next year Argent can come.
Yeah, they never want Argent to be snooping around anything, I'm sure.
Well, it's
Hunter residence.
I think Hunter does want him around so he can fuck with him a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
But he wants it to be on his terms.
Right.
Everything has to be on Hunter's terms. Oh,
right.
Man.
And he had to escape to be Grendel, and if Argent was there, he wouldn't be able to escape to be Grendel, probably.
Oh, that's true. That's true. What do you think about this panel of Grendel kind of like be in Spider-Man or Daredevil.
It does. It really does seem like that. You know, I don't not to keep talking about my story, but you know, I was thinking because that got me thinking in a number of different ways about Grendel and his actions. Because I drew a panel too where he was like going out a window.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it does seem like that is the kind of thing he does. Disappears out through windows and
chills out on rooftops.
Yeah.
Does recon. Yeah.
Dude, is his fork like a grappling hook? He's like, boof, and shoots out the fork and then could be cool.
Well, I don't think that's ever shown, but that was my thought. Was that
was your
like,
thought?
Well, it was my thought was like, this would look a lot more believable if he had a rope, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Because he's getting around on foot. Does he have a car?
The Grendelmobile?
He does drive in the Bernie story, so.
Oh, that's true. Now, he's obviously like this amazing gymnast, and he's probably like really good at parkour. He can probably parkour like crazy. So he's probably jumping and flipping off stuff, and he's, you know, peak physical condition. So he's probably just.
Yeah. And that's part of the challenge, just to, you know, as if he would ever miscalculate or, you know, slip or fall or anything.
Right.
Anything like that. All right. So then we
next scene we're at a party.
We're at this party.
Which is seemingly another day. And obviously it becomes clear that Hunter has some ulterior motives at this high society party. There's never any kids there for her to play with, and he's trying to
it says there's almost no other kids. Almost no other kids. So I think that what Matt is trying to do here is to paint a picture that there are lots of these parties that they go to. At this one, there's no kids, but like, you know, a Macaulay Culkin might be at another one, or you know, or Corey Feldman might be at the other one.
But I'm sure they're never anyone that she wants to hang out with or something.
Right.
Know. She's kind of split because she's brought up by Hunter with this, you know, exquisite taste and this like thirst for like knowledge and all this stuff. So it's hard. Probably she wants to be a kid when around him, but when she's around other kids, she probably thirsts for this like other, you know, a little bit of heightened. Exactly. So she's caught in between either thing. She's not able to be a kid, and she's not able to be an adult like Hunter or something.
Well, her entire perspective on life is skewed, traumatized, and distorted.
Right.
Sadly.
And Hunter already has a plan on how to like occupy Stacy while he goes to meet with this one man that he's trying to meet up with.
Right. So here's my question. Do you think that this author, what's her name? Miss French? Laura French. Your favorite author. Let me introduce you. Do you think that she is a kid's author, or do you think that she's an adult author?
Good point.
Like, is it J.K. Rowling and Judy Blume, or is it like I don't even know who?
I don't know either.
You know,
I'm
Anne
sure
Rice or whatever.
I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's not like a children's book author. I'm sure it's definitely YA to A.
Right.
You know?
Or is it Stacy's favorite author, or the author that Hunter wants to be? You know, like, oh,
that's
kid,
I'm sure.
I can't wait for you to read X-Men. You know.
Yeah, because she's not really. It doesn't. There's no. We're never given any idea that she's actually like psyched about it. She's still kind of like, can I actually go home? I need to study. He's like, no, not yet.
Well, he's very confident that you don't need to study. You're brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I'm sure you'll simply sail through it because that doesn't fit in with my plan. This other thing that you're doing does.
Yeah.
And
well,
so,
she's a prop.
Right. I need you to be seen here while I.
Right. Because no one would ever dream that I would do what I'm actually doing because it's so fucked.
Absolutely. And then on the next page, we see that he did escape and he's Grendelin across the street. Somehow he's looking like, you know, he turned to Grendel, went across the street to the roof to then like peer in the window of the building that they were already in, that you can kind of see the windows in the frames there, I guess. Mm-hmm. There's
Hunter
a guy with an eye
often
patch
disappear
there.
For hours.
At parties, man, what the heck?
There's a guy with an eye patch?
Sorry, yeah, on the bottom of the first, the last panel there on that first page, there's a guy in the middle right under the lamp. He's got an eye patch.
One of the criminal guys.
Yeah.
I got you. I really like the lighting that Paul Chadwick puts on the top of Grendel.
Oh yeah, here on the next panel. Yeah,
Really.
that's a really
nice.
good pose. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, very, very strong. I think that's if you did the seams on the back of the boots, I'd give it a real chef's kiss.
Oh, I guess he doesn't have them.
It's the angle. I'll give it.
Yeah. And so Laura French is here, like, aren't you so adorable? I did read My Little Chickadee. She's like, bitch.
Like, there you are, Hunter. Yeah, I love that. It says he would disappear for hours and then cut to him appearing. So a huge span of time has passed, and Stacy is sort of like politely handled herself. So her social intelligence is super high. Right. Or at least he's groomed her, not to use that term. He's trained her how to handle these kinds of situations.
Right. I think grooming in the like old use of the word, not in the like newer use of the word. Sure. But like, I mean, he simply is grooming her to be, if anything, more like him.
Something magnificent. Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
I really enjoy how Paul Chadwick costumes her. She looks like a little adult.
She does. Yeah.
It's with the pearls and then the kind of it's not a shoulder thing, but it's a wide cut. And
and the author's dress. That's what you're gonna say.
So Paul Chadwick.
Yeah, like eyeballs all over it. And the next panel we see the like over the shoulder, and it's like
I didn't even see them in panel 2 the first time. I only saw them on the shoulder.
Right.
This is not the first time that we've seen some like avant-garde fashion choices at these society parties.
Yeah, of course.
But this is probably the weirdest thing we've seen so far.
Yeah. And here and what is all happening here now is we see Hunter's his plan. Now, like, actually I think, darling, we will go home. So now, right as, they're finding out and the police are coming, they're heading out. So, they were there, they were seen by people when it happened. If anyone was questioned, if Laura French was questioned, it'd be like, oh yeah, Hunter and Stacy were here the whole time. They were with me, So they laid everything and he's like, okay, now it's time to leave. Right as they're leaving, the cops are coming in. They're like, I wonder what happened. The doorman is like, seems like a murder's afoot.
I am just now realizing that panels 2 through 4 overlap panel 1.
Oh.
And that the gutters between 2 through 4 are this crazy perspective shot all the way down to the ground.
Wow, that's awesome.
That is, and it works really well because there's that double panel border around all the other, that like guttered panel. Really, really cool.
It would almost suggest that like some of this is happening kind of like while Grendel's actions are happening, but I mean, it obviously doesn't line up if Hunter's right there, but it's kind of like this is all kind of happening in one, fell swoop.
I would describe the effect as ethereal. You don't need to like put like a strict chronology on it, but it's all kind of like the city and its deeds,
Right. Well, and this double panel border on 2, 3, and 4 too. It's open still. Like it's
they bleed out to the sides.
It's so cool. It's so well done.
Really well designed.
And on the bottom, how it's kind of like it snakes because it implies this square that's not really there.
On the last panel. Yeah, it's
on the bottom of that. Yeah.
Yeah, me and Dove used to call that a half bleed, but I don't know why we would call it that. I don't know. Panel 4 kind of fucked with dummy me because there's no taxi in it. He says there's a taxi and they're walking straight towards the cop car.
Oh, that's right.
So it works real. Listen, the whole thing works really well. This is a magnificent page in a magnificent story. But I feel like the one point perspective in panel 4 is a little rough just with that last there's a taxi kind of thing.
Right.
Oh, I have a no prize also.
Oh, geez.
I have a no prize.
What'd you get?
On page in the omnibus 166.
Okay.
Panel 4. Hunter says that, the rose first became a symbol of love in Roman times. Young courtiers used to pluck themselves on its hidden thorns together. And I think the word pluck is supposed to be prick. So
Mr.
I want my no
Prick.
prize.
Oh yeah. Pluck doesn't make sense really.
I want my no prize, or at least I want someone to replace my Volume 1 omnibus, which is not going to survive this
Reprints.
project. Yeah, I am thinking that this stuff is going to come back into print in the next 3 to 5 years.
I mean, it would be really cool to get some sort of artist edition Grendel or some sort of oversized something.
Library edition.
Oh my God, that'd be
Woo.
so great.
But there would have to be like 10 of them. It's just like,
Yeah, there would have to be a lot. Yeah.
it's reading the omnibus, it's scaled down, and it's I just want to see it big.
Do you have the book, The Art of Matt Wagner's Grendel?
I don't know.
Oh, that's a beautiful book. That'll be the final episode of the podcast.
Yeah, I remember the Frank Miller pinup is really cool, and there's a Travis Sherris pinup also.
Oh wow.
That's
I don't
just
remember
like,
that. I haven't been through it in a minute.
It's in the back of the book. Anyway,
Okay.
3 really good tangents in a row, but maybe we should move on.
Yeah, well, I mean, what they also do while escaping right there, Hunter is seen by the police. So the police know he was there.
Timing.
And then, yeah, exactly. So
Perfect timing.
he orchestrates it all just perfectly. And, so they leave and he's like, Central Park West, please. They get back to the house and Hunter's tucking in Stacy, I guess. Oh, no. We just see Stacy there with the new red elephant.
With the elephant. And the window is open, which the New Yorker in me, don't do that.
I guess. Yeah, but maybe if they're so high up anyway.
Yeah,
but,
it's a luxury apartment. It's not a
right.
problem.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. Panel 2 is wonderful with the
sheer
transparency on the window shade and that
Mhm.
moon. Woo, really nice.
Simply moving from family to family after they had all died, and she'll do it again when Hunter dies.
She actually believed she'd remain a little girl forever. That is really, I mean, what a rich and tragic character she is.
So much so.
And her final chronological appearances are so devastating and rough. And it's like, what more could life in the series? What more could life have possibly heaped on this poor person?
And you're speaking of the Diana Schutz book.
Yeah.
She doesn't. Yeah.
It's just like nothing, with the exception of being born into privilege and wealth, nothing good ever happened to this person.
Right. And hey, we don't even know if those Palombos were rich too. Maybe the uncle didn't.
All right.
Maybe they were just like normal people or something like that. We don't know.
Maybe. I kind of see them as not Trumps, but like what's the guy? What was it that the murderer? Jinx. Did you see Jinx on HBO?
Huh. Like you think they're kind of like a crime family or something, kind of like a
the Dursts, Robert Durst.
Oh, okay, the Dursts.
You know who they are?
I've heard of that. Shay watched it. Fred Durst.
Fred Durst's family. The end of, oh my God. Yeah, just like shady real estate empire people.
Yeah, they definitely are.
Anyway.
So Hunter comes in to wake up Stacy Darling, and she's out already, must have gone to the park. And she's
Which is really weird that like she has her own agency to come and go as she pleases, and she's 8 years old.
Right.
And it's just that's a value that Hunter
he lives on Central Park West, and so she went to Central Park. And is there is this building, is that the conservatory or whatever in Central Park? There's like a museum there.
I wish I could tell you. There's a lot of different
places that could be.
I don't know if there's like a greenhouse quite like that, but roses, there's no like rose garden that I know of.
She never imagined growing up or even old, only solitary and serene.
She brings a fly.
Oh, is that what it was?
She brings a fly to the spider? I'm just noticing it now.
Dude, that is what's happening. I did not notice that.
But then the spider has its own babies hatching.
And so she thought the one, this solitary friend she had is actually also has its own thing and is also moving on without her. Like, it seems like everyone around her has their own thing, just like this spider that she thought was her like one friend and needed help, but it's got these babies.
What a sad person.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Stacy.
sad people, let's move on.
Let's move on to the Ho Chi Andersen story, Devil's Thrush.
Are you a Ho Chi Andersen fan?
I didn't know him too much before I watched him on the Cartoonist Kayfabe interview. Super interesting guy. I mean, I really enjoyed their interview with Ho Chi Andersen, and I guess I had only really read, this book. I've only read this story.
There's another story I think that he does. I'm not sure which omnibus volume it is. It is a story about a college student who's doing his thesis on Hunter Rose, I think.
Oh.
It might take place like after the publication of Devil by the Deed, or it might take place later on. And
Is that in red, white, and black?
It might be. No, it's not. I think it's the opening story to Omnibus Volume 2. And it's a story that was in color, and then I think they stripped it of color.
Interesting.
And it's more of this really expressive style. Did Ho Chi Andersen do the Martin Luther King book?
He did, yes.
So when I was a retailer, I remember finding that in I think in the 50-cent bin.
Oh, wow.
And having it in my hands and being like, oh, I should get this. And then thinking that it didn't have a cover, or thinking that it was super old, because it looks like a 50-year-old comic. It's on newsprint and it's designed in 4-color process and all that stuff.
Right.
And I had like major buyer's remorse when I went back to find it and it was gone. And then I found out that it was like a big deal. And I was like, oh my God.
It seems really interesting. The way that he described it, in the interview, the shoot interview, it's just like, seems really cool. This story, I like the art. I'm not huge on the story.
You said that to me before. You didn't really like it.
I know. I'm not sure why. I went over it again, like I read it probably 3 times in preparation for it. Also trying to like figure out what I didn't like. I think maybe part of it is that Hunter is like a major dirtbag, and I want to like him, but he's like so shitty in this. He's like such a dick.
He is exceptionally shitty in this.
Right. I think it made me be like, oh, I don't like this fucking story because I like Hunter. But then again, I'm like, do I like Hunter? Can you like Hunter? And it's kind of like, he's not really meant to be liked, I don't think. So I kind of changed my ideas on it after I read it a few times.
Yeah.
But now
Hunter,
I did want, okay.
It seems like the line between Hunter and Grendel is really blurred in this one.
Right.
In how exceedingly awful he is, because he never puts on the costume. He's just a dirtbag.
Right. He's kind of orchestrating shit as Hunter, which is also something we don't really see. He's in public and he's handling business. He's handling people. Maybe
right. It's Hunter business though. It might be separate from like Seaboard Massacre business. It's just like, yeah, I'm Hunter and I've got shady shit that I do as Hunter. Just
right, but then it kind of seems like in the end that he actually did something good for her, but I don't know. We'll get there. I do want to mention that I was hell bent on figuring out what this song was. I wasn't sure, is it a real song? Is it, so I Googled like the first 2 bubbles of lyrics and it didn't come up with anything, but I wasn't happy with that. I know Matt likes music. I know Mage always opens up with music. So I was like, it's got to be something. So I continued to try to figure it out. But, I'm too busy being blue seemed to me to be the refrain. So I Googled that and I found the song, Ben. Did you listen to it? I sent it to you last night.
Let's play it up.
Let's play it because, it is the perfect feel for this comic. Like, it is so perfect. So I'm going to share the screen. All right, so it is a song by K.D. Lang. So it's like that hot and smoky it's that kind, you know, it
Hot
definitely,
and heavy.
right. And it definitely puts you into like late night, you know, the Scarlet Tangerine or whatever this club is called. And it's smoking. You know, and you can see her singing this up on stage. Probably her voice is a little deeper, a little more gravelly than KD.
Time to take a different point of view.
And like, just really think about, like, read the story again with this song playing, because it all happens basically in and out of the song. Like Hunter and Larry are talking.
Isn't Larry? I wasn't sure. Maybe that was.
Yeah, I thought it was Larry. All right, let's go back to
So anyway, this is Devil's Thrush, and a thrush is a bird. The song thrush is a bird that really cannot fly. It is mostly bound to the ground. It can hover a little bit, but
interesting.
it can't actually take flight, which I thought was. I just knew that it was gonna have some kind of connection to this
right. So you think the girl here, Marlee Cezanne, is
Marlee, yeah, aka Maddie Weinberg.
Maddie Weinberg from New Jersey.
Yeah, and the Weinberg is you really got to get it up.
Yeah.
Now I remember the first time that I read this story, really alternating back and forth between her captions and her lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's too much information to process. So this time when I read it, I just read all the lyrics, and then I read the captions, and it was much easier to.
Once I found the song, I went back last night for my third read, and I just played the song and I didn't read any of the lyrics, and I tried to kind of experience it with the song, you know. Just going on in the background, much like it is for the people in this club.
The name of the club is interesting. It's the Scarlet Tangent.
Oh, Tangent, yeah.
Tangent, which I think is there's some kind of subtle thematic nod about how the Grendelin kind of seeps into Hunter.
Interesting.
I don't know how to put it into words, but you know, the intersection of the devil's business and Hunter's shtick.
For sure. Maybe even kind of like how Ho Chi uses the scarlet, the red coloring throughout. Because while it's mostly the lyrics, then there's these little teeny little pops like in the eyes and stuff that are really, really great. Mm-hmm. And so she's kind of just lamenting like what led her to this place. She changed her name. She moved out. She moved to the city to get to know classy people. Classy people looking for other classy people. It almost seems like Hunter sees something in her, or perhaps they've hooked up or something. Like,
it does seem like they've hooked up, which is strange because
right. Hunter can't love again, but that doesn't. He won't love another woman, but I'm sure he has sex from time to time.
It does seem like they've hooked up. I think that it kind of cuts a few different ways. One is that like he knows lowlifes. Yeah. And it's revealed that she is in recovery. Not that people in recovery are lowlifes, but that she has kind of a seedy past. Right. It's also perhaps suggested that she's been a sex worker. Not that I'm judging. Not that I'm judging. No, but
that's the kind of and perhaps it's even like she was in a bad way, in some bad shit. Grendel came into a situation in the past, perhaps killed everyone but her, and was like, change your life, or you're like, you can do better. And so perhaps Hunter checks in on her as this kind of like side thing to make sure she's like doing better, gives her some money, gives her some booze.
Yeah. There are a lot of inset panels of Grendel's eyes. The second page opens up with this close up of a red Grendel mask. And then we've got Hunter, and I don't think it's Larry, but we can call Larry if you want.
How come you don't think? Kind of because they're not as familiar in their talk, or because
of the mustache.
Oh, does he have a mustache?
Because he's got him. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe it is. I don't really know. I don't think it is. I think that there's a giveaway later on that it's some other guy.
Oh yeah,
I also
he does
like
have a
in
mustache.
I like in the second panel, there's a couple where this guy is like a head shorter than the woman he's dancing with, and he's just like cuddled up to her.
That's funny.
That's very funny.
Perhaps to suggest that this is a place where other people have escorts or something. Maybe that's like an old man.
Oh yeah,
something, and he's got.
That does look like that.
Mm-hmm.
The way Ho-Chi Andersen draws here, first of all, the way I understand it is that he's a guy who can draw in 100 different styles. He can run design circles around anybody.
Right.
Here,
You can really see his different tools at work.
Mhm.
Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, I'm seeing shades of Shel Silverstein in the line work.
Wow.
And like maybe, I don't know, sometimes like Al Hirschfeld, just in like kind of how like classy and sweeping it is.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that is really strange, and I don't know if he's doing himself a favor, is that the three characters who get the most screen time in this story all have the same shaped nose.
Very long.
Which is a little rough, yeah. It's very strange.
Yeah. You kind of give the art this like leeway because it's not super realistic. It's very stylized, stylish, stylistic. So like you kind of leave it, you kind of let it, do its thing without judging it too harshly or thinking too hard. Like, why is her nose huge? It's kind of just like,
no, yeah. I think it's just that the lack of. I think that Hunter, I think the real problem for me is that his Hunter Rose he looks like he's 45,
right.
And he's drawn, when he stands up, he's not slender. And that's the only issue. I love the artwork otherwise. I think Coach Andersen.
I think that's kind of something that we're like tracking through all the stories is the way Hunter is portrayed.
Yeah. Do
So
you believably draw him as a 21-year-old enigmatic prodigy?
Something else that Hunter might do to throw people off the trail of his Grendelness is perhaps wear bigger suits, perhaps wear shoulder pads to make his silhouette a little different than that of Grendel. Grendel seems to almost always be super slick and slender and smooth and and although sometimes he is drawn with like kind of like shoulder pad triangle.
And here his attitude is super snooty, talking about nightclubs and what's it called, meat markets and hey Raja. And the horny get marinated and served in places like this.
Right.
A very like, cynical, but maybe not entirely untrue.
Right. This is probably like a, Greenwich Village club or like a downtown club, and out of the eyes of the ire of the, the upper class or whatever.
What he's also doing here is that this spread is working. It's working the Watchmen. It's working the 9-panel grid.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which is really cool. I wonder if I think it's just this spread. Yeah, very, very cool.
And she finishes her song, after this conversation is winding down. She says thank you, and then
what do you think of that in that lower right? What's going on there?
The black smudge inset panel.
The weird, the smudgy, freaky nightmare face.
I don't like. Maybe it's the lights going down on the stage and her kind of like being like, okay, now I'm just this piece of shit again.
Yeah, that sounds right to me. It's very abstract.
Yeah. She feels alive on stage, even though some of the close-ups we see, she's still kind of sad, but she's obviously not singing.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because
great song or like
she's alternatingly attractive, semi-attractive, and unattractive.
Right.
In depending on
the angle
and the way the angle of her nose, pretty much, or the angle of her girth. All right.
Yeah, and I guess what Hunter and this other guy are just basically talking about is like people and how
much better they are.
Yeah, you know,
than everyone else.
Yeah, maybe their noses are so big because they're able to put their nose up at all this everything that they're seeing.
Yeah.
So the noses are accentuated in an effort to be like, that's what they do, is they stick their noses up.
What do you think is going on this guy's neck as he takes his last sip of wine?
I don't know. Maybe a hickey?
That was my thought.
Maybe just some
something
shading.
like that. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say. I want to give Ho Chi Andersen as many compliments as I can, because this is like really intense work.
Really,
all right, so,
oh man, sweeping and the wood grain in the background.
Sweeping, yeah.
Yeah.
And the texture on this guy's suit, the floral pattern.
It's amazing.
Yeah, really, really cool.
Set against the checkerboard pattern of the table and the wood. Like there's like this panel 2 on this page. All 3 of these patterns are so intense. Like floral jacket, the checkerboard, the wood. It's like, what a dense panel.
Yeah, it's pretty well. I love how Hunter says goodbye without even looking up.
Yeah. He's just like, leave me. And he's like, right then. Well, old man, good seeing you again. Let's do it again soon. I'll be waiting.
His martini glass and the reflections inside of it are fantastic.
On panel 3.
On panel 3, yeah.
Yeah.
And
almost like some whiteout, like afterwards or something like that.
Yeah, or like look on the left how like the black becomes this like graphite, or it almost looks like Matt was talking about how he uses the black Prismacolor.
Mm-hmm.
Really like kind of a rich, sticky, waxy colored pencil.
Oh, that's right. Looks like that. Got some splatters, some like ink splatters too.
I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at panel 4. Are those knives going in? Is that the Grendel fork going into the guy's back?
It really looks like that. I was thinking the same thing.
It is so strange.
Yeah, like where are they coming from?
Well,
like,
Hunter's eyes, I would suppose.
Yeah.
You know that they act like they act kind of like
he's
friends.
staring daggers at him.
He's just like, I've got plans for you, guy.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think like what else that could be representing, like, but I just don't see anything else.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard because, like you said, this art is so dense that it's just like it's hard to say. One thing that I really love is the way that in panels 3 and on the final tier, the first and last panels have elements that are framing Hunter's hand and then Weinberg's arm.
Yeah.
And then just like the way he uses this like sloppy dry brush, it really has like a cinematography kind of like a soft focus.
Right. And we learned that Ho Chi does do film and TV work and stuff like that too. So he's got that like director's eye.
Yeah. I love these creators. Were we talking about it last night, or someone was, about these creators who like kind of, they do their comics, then they dip out and do film, and then every 10 years they'll come back and do a comic. And it's like, yes, these multi-talented, brilliant people, like the rest of us are just like killing ourselves to do comics.
To do
like,
one
I
thing.
can do comics, and then I'll direct film as well. And
Yeah. Like Rob Schraub or something like that.
He's the guy I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Or Paul Chadwick, perhaps. Well, he's not a director, but
Yeah.
Mike Allred has directed films.
That's right. And will again, hopefully.
Yeah, sure. Cool.
Yeah, so then now we see Cezanne and Rose kind of sidling up together. Ho Chi's use of red too. Again, I just want to comment on this inset panel of Hunter.
Yeah.
And her dress, which I don't think was always red. No, it was like black in other panels. And you know, I'm always thinking like, is the red used to imply something? Is it just a design choice? Is he trying to say, you know, now, you know, this is where I want your eye to go? But
oh, right, her dress is not always red. Well, yeah, it's who's to say? The other thing I would say is that her design is very fluid and kind of mercurial.
Mm-hmm.
In this first panel, like, she does not have a bust at all, and then the other panels, it's like very prominent.
Oh, that's true.
Which is strange, and then the shape of her nose changes a few times, but it's fine. I would prefer this character with a cuter nose.
I guess maybe they're trying to like not let her be like too classically beautiful or whatever in a way to like enhance the characters, like
The sadness.
right, the sadness, the trials and tribulations that she's going through. You know, she's not perfectly skinny. She's not perfectly skinny or whatever. But
Yeah. Oh, hello, Marley. Please sit. So, have you been? They definitely hooked up recently.
yeah, right. Well, she's like not happy to be there, but she kind of knows like I've got to, say hello or whatever.
Well, I think he showed up to fuck with her.
Yeah.
Like I think he's there, or it could just be that no matter where he goes, there's some scumbag or some lowlife in his circle that he can always, manipulate.
Right, and
He
she's
gets off
not.
on it.
Yeah, he definitely does, but she's not treating him as if he's like a celebrity or something, which I would think that like you see Hunter Rose out there, people will be like, holy shit, like I love you, kind of maybe he seems to be this international celebrity type of deal, but he's in this little club and she's kind of just like, shh, how are you?
Right. Well, I think it's definitely, you can draw a comparison to Trump in New York in the 80s, where he's like a New York celeb.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right. He's a society figure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is very sad.
We get a clock again, the next page.
Oh, yeah.
He says, wonderful.
His pocket watch.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. There's a little bit of consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Not just wonderful. Wonderful. It's emphasized.
Right. Yourself? She's okay. Still owe a little bit of money. Okay, so that's laying something in. She owes it probably to the Chicconis, and he owns the Chicconis now. So it's
maybe.
like, yeah.
Yeah, well, she's very Jersey. I've been okay. It's like,
yeah,
it's supposed to be like, Dick Class or whatever.
Right. But she's saying it's like, you know how it is. No, how is it? He says.
We have that little Grendel insert. I really like the close-up on him, how devious
and here's what I'm talking about.
He is.
Yeah, the red in his eyes is starting to come out too, almost to play the Grendel inset is red, and now his eyes are starting to be red, almost as if to say, here's his like Grendel instinct coming out. The like his inner Grendel is like grilling her, how I was saying he's kind of handling Grendel business as Hunter. Yeah,
there are a lot of Hunter Rose hairlines that we see throughout this series.
Yeah.
And this one does not. I mean, he looks more like Dave Sims, Oscar Wilde than he does Hunter Rose. The hairline is strange.
Yeah.
but it looks so good. The thing is, like, I'm critical because I care. This is probably one of my favorite Black, White, and Red stories.
Oh yeah.
Of the batch, of not of just this episode, of the whole thing.
Wow.
Just because of how like ballsy and unique and clear and abstract his work is. I love it.
Awesome. That's cool. And I mean, they're really building, her story, about Arnie. Arnie's always been nice to me, not like he used to be, I know. But, he got her the job singing there, and Hunter's like, okay, yeah, but only 2 nights a week. So what are you doing all the other nights? And again, this panel is amazing. It's so great. The pencil on her body, the wood again, this bush behind them. This is like a tree with these spirals in them. It's like,
yeah, I think a lot about this kind of shading. I still haven't really cracked it. See how on her arm it goes from pure white to darkest, and then it fades to the darkest shadow is in the center,
right
next to the light. To those two contrast. My instinct is always just fade it from light to dark.
Right.
But every single person that I see playing with this, it pops 200% more. It's the right way to draw.
Yeah, always adding that like white in a shading. Like I've seen like Moffat will do it with like a whiteout pen or something like that.
Sure.
And it really kind of adds in a nice pop. She's having a hard time getting gigs. It's not easy for her. And I'm sure you could get something if you tried. Hunter's
Are his eyes wide open? It's a little hard to read his face.
on this one where he says, "Oh,
Is he
I'm sure you could
staring-
get something." Yeah, I think
is he
they're
staring her
wide.
down?
Yeah,
It's I don't know. If you tried, well, nobody wants me anymore. That's all. I think that Arnie may also have been her pimp.
yeah, it seems like it for sure.
Yeah.
Like she's been trying to get out from under him, and she just owes him a little bit more money, and then she can be like, independent again. She can be free again. But it's also taken all her money that she's only got from these couple gigs. So, but she's glad that you came to see her, and she's like, "That's all. You can't do any better than that, Hunter." And he's like,
Well, I think he's saying nobody wants me anymore. That's all. That's all. Can't you be more competitive? Where's your killer instinct, you schmuck?
"Yeah, you can't
And
do
as
any
soon as
better than that."
He calls her a loser in 2 panels. And before I turned the page, I was like, he thinks she's a loser. And then it's articulated right next door. He says, I didn't come to see you.
Yeah,
You're nothing to me. This is terrible. He's awful.
really, really bad. But then again, I think that he's trying. This is all part of a plan that he's got to like get her out of here or something like that. Maybe even he's trying to help her get out of the city or something, escape. And so it's like,
seem at the end like he's trying to help her.
yeah,
Or maybe that, like, I think what it might be also is that, like, he's fucked with her. He's toyed with her as much as he's not going to get any more pleasure from toying with her anymore.
right. He's like done with it now.
The game is over. Yeah.
Yeah, he's lost interest. And she's like, "Can't you like at least pity me?" And he's like, "Never." Like, I think that was one of those things. Like, can't you even pity me? Never. Like, he cut her off.
Yeah.
Like, to say never, because you would enjoy that too much. You're one of those people who thrive on their own misery and shame. You enjoy being everybody's whipping post, Marley. You invite abuse, and then you revel in it. You're actually quite disgusting, Fuck, Hunter, damn.
He's awful. I love the abstraction, the distortion of the pupil in the
So
middle
cool.
panel.
And it's like the zoom out from it too. It's almost the red panel is almost like is that Hunter's eye, Grendel's eye, and then it comes out and you realize it was her pupil.
Do you think it's fair to make a Bill Sienkiewicz comparison?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
The scratchy eye and the rendering for sure.
Yeah, and just the myriad approaches. Oh God! And then she just breaks down at her workplace. She's crying at the table.
Mm-hmm.
I just never had any breaks like you did. That's all.
He's like, you know nothing of my breaks. She doesn't.
He's very thick in this.
Oh yeah, THICC.
Yeah. Christ, have a little dignity.
Man, just destroying her. He pulls out his billfold and throws throws a hundo at her.
Love that beefy line weight in the foreground.
Oh my God, yeah.
Even on the bill, it's so cool.
Yeah.
And then she looks like, in profile here in silhouette with the red lips, she looks like that comic strip Sylvia.
Oh, I don't know it.
You know that it's like, I don't want to say it's like a 80s feminism office place journal comic.
Oh, from the newspaper?
From the newspaper, yeah. It was like a syndicated.
Kathy?
It's like if
It's like Kathy.
It's like if Ho Chi Andersen. It's like if Shel Silverstein drew Kathy. That's what.
Okay, gotcha. I'll put a little piece of it in.
Yeah,
here.
put some. Well, I could be wrong, but it does. It has the profile is very similar. Oh God! And he gives her money. Don't spend it on junk. I know you still do that.
Yeah.
Finish my wine if you like.
What an underhanded line that is, man. Like, oh my God. Like,
I know you're in recovery, but
Yeah.
if you want to get drunk, go for it.
I'm trying to think about too, even if she had a good show, it seemed like the first thing she did when she got off stage was go talk to Hunter. What if there was someone else in the audience that wanted to talk to her and instead saw this like argument and they're just like, oh God, okay. I was almost going to like give her a record
Right.
contract or something.
Right. Well, once
Or,
these people get off stage, you see what a mess they are.
yeah, and they were like, okay, never mind. I don't want her to come sing at my place on Tuesdays or something. I was going to try to hire her.
Here's a very Eli Schwab touch: the photo collage $100 bill.
Yep, the actual, yeah.
That's totally a move. I respect that move, Eli. I want to see more photo collage from you.
All right. I love it.
I think it's a really it's a cool staple in your arsenal. Anyway,
like
so
it.
she cries.
Yeah.
Oh
And,
God.
she leaves, and then we kind of see her at her home place, I guess.
Yeah, she's still in Hoboken, which if you're not from the tri-state area, is right outside. It's a New Jersey city right outside of Manhattan.
Right. And you can take the
you get
ferry
there
over there.
Yeah,
or
it's really
you
quick
take-
to get there.
Yeah.
And she lives in this shitty little place. Oh God.
strewn with bottles and
Yeah. And then Hunter's home, and he's on my grandmother's 1930s telephone.
Yeah.
And he says, the singer from the Scarlet Tangent, who he doesn't even use her name, the one who owes you money. Maybe this is Arnie. Maybe this is some Chacon associate. Call it off.
Oh yeah, like
It's
you.
too
What do you think?
late.
There,
Oh God.
it's too late.
It's too late for her. She jumps out the window.
Oh, is that what happens?
I believe so.
Oh man,
I
yeah.
believe she jumps out the window.
Okay,
she
wow. I totally mistook this. I thought this was like she had a city apartment. She was going back to Hoboken or something. She was like, I thought this was her sitting at like a bus station or something like that. That she was like, I'm going back to Jersey. I'm leaving the city with this 100. I bought a bus ticket and I'm leaving. But I think that you are actually right.
Yeah,
Because it shows the window. She's drinking.
Right. She regards the bill. It's tough because the last time we saw the bill, it's in full photocopied detail, and
Right.
here it's like there's no it's just a rectangle.
She kind of throws it probably out the window too as she throws herself out.
Yeah, and the thing that that makes me think she jumps is that in the second to last panel, there's a little bit of movement. Is it? Oh no. The blinds are broken. You can see the blinds have kind of
Like there,
right?
there you got that thing.
Yeah,
right?
they got all the string gets all fucked up. It looks like there's two little rocks that are falling off the window ledge or something.
Right, like that she kind of that are falling
that
after
she
her.
dislodged. Yeah, two little
Right.
bits of brick, and then Grendel always gets his way. Oh God.
Mm-hmm. Call it off because oh man, maybe that was his plan the whole time, was to get her to kill herself or something, so that it wasn't some sort of muddy murder. It wasn't like a mob hit or something like that. Maybe it was like, instead of call it off, what Hunter really means is like, I took care of it already. Like don't even worry about it because I already took care of it.
It couldn't have been that much money.
It couldn't have been that much.
How much?
money.
How much money could she have gotten in for?
Yeah, no.
$20,000? Like not.
Yeah.
Like not a. I mean, it's a lot of $20K is a lot of money, but like to Hunter, it's like he's
It's
got
nothing.
like Scarface on steroids money.
Yeah. Maybe she knew something about him too. Maybe they hooked up and he couldn't perform that night
Oh,
or
right,
something.
yeah,
and so
maybe.
he was like, no.
Right?
can't
Maybe
have
there's
this.
some personal detail that she
Right.
has.
Yeah.
She has on him. All right. Well, very sad story. Well done, Ho Chi Andersen.
Very well done.
We will revisit Ho Chi Andersen. I'm pretty sure I think it's his story somewhere down the road.
So next one we have Bernie Mireault, good friend of the show. I reached out to Bernie to see if he had anything to say about this. I mistakenly said that him and Matt lived together when they actually just shared a studio.
Mhm.
And so
That was in Montreal
that was in
or-
Montreal, yeah.
or Toronto.
In Montreal.
Okay.
And so, Matt was living with Barbara Schutz there, Diana's sister, who is now his wife.
Uh-huh.
And so that's why Matt moved to Montreal. Matt was still in Montreal when he was writing the story. And Bernie was like, thinks it's so cool how people used the red. Like that was something that was very intriguing to him. Every cartoonist has a different solution, and he found that very interesting. He didn't get too much into the nuts and bolts of it, but he was, still sharing a studio with Matt at that time in Montreal. And this is a pretty cool story.
And this story is dated 1989.
Right, which is,
which is 10 years before BW&R comes out.
Oh, did this so maybe he did this just kind of in anticipation for it, or maybe for something else, and it ended up being used.
Maybe, yeah.
Like maybe he did it for something that was coming out of Kamiko, and then when Kamiko crashed, it didn't get to be used, and then he was like, "Let's use that for."
Oh, interesting. Yeah, like maybe a Devil's Vagary.
Or like a backup story for something.
When I think of, I think like you, I discovered Bernie Mireault metatextually in Mage the Hero Defined. That was the first time that this person came into my mind. I have no idea when I learned or discovered that Kirby Hero was based on Bernie. And I also have no idea when I discovered the Jam. I think that I found the Kamiko Super Cool Color special maybe 10 years ago in a comics vendor on the street. There'll be guys with boxes on the street, so right, boxes. And I think I saw it and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And I think that at that point I knew
you made the connection.
Who Bernie, I knew who he was. And I didn't get my other Jam issues until sometime in the last year. So I only had that one for a very, very long time.
Right. That's kind of how I was, though. I bought the Madman Jam comic off the shelves, not really knowing Madman, not really knowing the Jam, just basically liking the colors, opening it up, and liking the MC Escher that I saw inside. My bro and family, mom and dad, are both into MC Escher, so he was well known in the household. So that was an early comic for me, and I was just like, this is amazing. Not really knowing the Jam and only knowing Madman a little bit, and just being like, oh my God, I love this. And I never found Jam regular comics. And then I would find a few of them here and there. And then when I interviewed Mike Allred for Cosmic Lion Radio all those years ago, he told me that his one of his all-time favorite comics and a changing comic in his life was that the Jam Turbo Super Color collection from Kamiko. So then I went out and bought that, and I loved it, and I bought more and more and more and more, and just started really loving. And then obviously the Brian Lee Sung stuff, and that. Then I was kind of like,
this is obviously after that work.
This is after Brian Lee Sung.
I think
this is
so.
This is really good. This is really well done, Bernie.
Yeah, it is.
It's really good.
It's when I think about Matt's collaboration with these 40 artists that we're going to cover over the next, that we've been covering and will, because they were studio mates, because they were seemingly, it seems like they were artistic brothers for a decade.
Yeah.
That they speak such a similar storytelling language of being really direct, of valuing directness and clearness and cleverness. There are parts of these Bernie Mireault panels where it's they could have been drawn by Matt Wagner.
I agree.
This upper right panel of the outside of the club.
Mm-hmm.
There's parts of it that looks like a Matt panel.
It does.
And then the other thing I'll say is that in every single, the mark of Bernie Mireault that I love so much is that in every single panel, there are multiple things that he does with the inking that are just flourishes or flavoring or just super unique, lots of fun, not to be underestimated.
Absolutely.
And and don't worry, I'll point them out in
every single one. Like in the guy's shirt in the first panel where he's cupping the balls,
yep.
or in the last panel, the face, the different directions on the hatching.
The white
The-
in the streaks of his hair in that last panel.
Oh my God! Oh,
Every-
that's awesome.
The way he does the body hair on these guys, like the hair on this guy's arms.
The spiral of the cigarette smoke.
The sound effects on the breaking of the pool.
Tac pack.
It's just like endless, brilliant, simple, direct comic storytelling, and that's what I love about Bernie Mireault's work. Is that he can take moments from like mundane situations and really bring them to life by making the choices of comics craft. Let's get into this. Devil's Q.
Yes,
Tale
Devil's
of the
Q.
Bolivian.
Yeah, so I mean, we're not in, this is not Hunter's story and this is not Stacy's story. This is the story of the Bolivian and kind of like some mob dudes playing pool, doing lines and talking over a deal.
With Larry. It's from Larry's point of view.
Okay,
right?
okay, yeah.
So Larry gets these little red one-line narrative captions at the bottom or sometimes top of the page. And it takes a while to figure out that it's Larry. But here they're in, what is it? Shenley's Gentlemen's Club. It's a 100-year-old club somewhere in Manhattan. And Larry is working, he's casing and working the Bolivian.
Yeah.
Super cool.
They're playing pool. I guess Larry is, I guess Larry's not playing pool yet. But
Well, they're playing pool.
This line is funny to me as a deadhead, as a fan of music that makes you dance, as a person who has danced with women in a way that is completely opposite to this, that says dancing is for those who cannot afford their women. What does that mean? Bitch, you never danced. You ain't never danced.
I thought he was talking about paying for sex. I don't know what he's talking about.
It's like
I'm not a Bolivian airline magnet drug
true
dealer, and I'm married.
I that's one thing I definitely know about you.
Yeah.
That you're not that. Anyway, the fourth panel here again. That's what you're talking about, man. Amazing. The carpet, the rugs, all the little detail in the tables.
Oh yeah.
Man.
Yeah, this is a great panel. And then that tier up top, the static camera as the 8 balls in the foreground, the scale changes, it moves back, and then dunk.
Yep.
Just
won the game.
So, the little like comicsisms, the little symbolic movements, the curlicue as the he puts a little
English on it.
Yeah, he puts a little English on it, and then there's that star for the contact.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. It's so great. Yeah, but this fourth one with the panel, this is another one where it looks like Matt could have laid it out or drawn it. Like it looks like something out of the
like maybe because they're in the same thing. Matt could have even roughed it out a little bit with them.
I just think that they were just so. I think that they were really simpatico, and that they were speaking the same. They were speaking different like dialects of the same language.
Right.
I love it.
And then so he says Senor Stoller. That's Larry's last name, Larry Stoller, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Larry only likes a little. That's what he says, but he's probably trying to like keep it together. And I like this line because because Larry's like, I only like a little, and the other dude's like, that's good for me because I only like a lot. Ha ha ha! Blam 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 blam.
Yeah, this guy's crazy.
Oh, he's raging.
So Larry tells the reader that the Bolivian is bringing in huge amounts of blow, and we thought we knew how, but it's implied that this evening is there so that we can get info on how to, better run all crime in North America.
Yeah.
This page on the right is so. I really wonder what the script looked like for this page. If Matt gave layout, if Matt described it, because the design on it is so, it's like this page, not a lot happens, but it's sort of like the perfect synergy between Matt and Bernie's sensibilities.
Totally. You think he cut out all these snowflakes, how you think he did them?
Well, I just praised the page, but I'm not crazy about the snowflakes, to be honest with you.
Yeah. But it's like the snow, maybe representative of the cocaine, kind of going into, and then one last little snowflake going into the fire, which is like.
I think that these snowflakes were done on a photocopier.
Yeah.
It looks like he drew
2 or 3 maybe.
a few of them. Yeah, you can see them repeated at different scales, and then there's a little bit of that photocopy texture.
Almost in a way, they look. Some of them look like Grendel eyes in there.
Interesting. Yeah. Oh yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Well, that's we might be reading into that a little much.
Yeah.
Because you never know what you're going to get with these with those snowflakes.
Yeah.
I think that he probably cut them out to fit inside of a 8.5 by 11, and then reduce them.
Yeah, a few times.
Negative 2,000% or whatever.
Yeah, and there's not a ton going on in this story. It's a lot of kind of just dudes chatting, some locker room talk,
getting wasted.
Yeah, getting wasted, and Larry's just kind of plucking little nuggets of info here and there. Mm-hmm. But then he's also stoking the fire and seemingly having a good time while doing it. He's like, anyone want to make a wager on this next one? And this guy's like, yeah, I do. Woo!
Yeah, helpful Larry loves a good time.
Yeah, he does. Lair Bear.
Yeah, Lair Bear. And I just want to point out in the flames, in that flame tier, that there's like the snow fades away, and then there's like little Bernie Mireault idioms, like little glyphs. There's the skull and crossbones, a few stars, and then there's a fishbone.
Fishbone.
And those will appear more. We'll get more of those. Very Bernie.
So Bernie. And yeah. These next couple these last 3 panels, too, all the swirls around. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Man, that's just really cool. There's a scene in the Jam where there's like a cult. These like devil worshiping cults, and it's like very much like this stuff. It's so great.
Yeah. And then another technique, another great inking thing is how there's it all. You just look at the page. I don't need to explain it, but you can see him taking some white out over, doing some negative like erasing. And he does that at a few spots. If you look closely at Larry's,
yeah, wow.
Yeah, if you look at Larry's like temples and cheeks, he'll do a series of lines and then kind of chop into it.
Oh, yeah. There's like a spiral right by his nose there and stuff.
With the what? Oh, yeah. Very, really interesting stuff. That's a technique that like the Image guys use a lot when they would do the like crazy cross hatching and then, black and then white, you know, and it's just like you look at it, it's like an illusion. And here it's like the illusion's broken. That's how you do it, Just go for it.
Really cool, yeah.
Yeah. So then onward, my friends.
Oh,
Indeed,
man.
Bolivian.
He looks so spun.
Yeah. Look at all the little glyphs, the triangles and squares and lightning bolts.
Yeah.
They're on the
and there's like a checkerboard background too that's kind of like getting wavier kind of
and it's done by hand, it's not a tone.
Yeah, exactly.
There's very little. There's one panel that has tone in this story, and it ain't this one.
Yeah.
Could have been this one, but it's not.
And then Larry said he was a paid rep for BW&R, a company that had seen much better days. But then now you're seeing that like, okay, so he's got this like good job, but then he's using the airlines that he runs or whatever to smuggle cocaine places. Yeah.
So I think that we're supposed to read in. What is it paid? Just like a business executive who he flies to the U.S. and Europe, presumably, promoting the airline and making business connections. Is that
must be promoting it? Must be.
Okay, well, that's what he appears to be. Anyway, so
we have this 9-panel grid down here, which is just, it always makes me kind of think of what's that movie? Jared Leto and Marlon Wayans, where it's like, Requiem for a Dream, where it's like, these flashes of.
I use that sequence in my storyboarding class.
Oh yeah, that's really good.
Just to talk about like rhythm and quick cutting and using images that like are not talking heads.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, so they're doing lines of blow through like a McDonald's straw. It
Yeah,
looks
like an old paper straw kind of thing.
very kind of weird. But then
Awesome.
this center panel is so distorted. It reminds me of like, I don't want to say Bean World because it's not that abstract,
It's
but
close,
it
though.
is kind of crazy like that.
Yeah,
And
and
then
just like further distorting the night, the visions of the night, how everyone's feeling. And it's
there's
getting later and
distortion on the
later.
walls.
And did you see the abbreviation on the clock in
Mhm.
this last panel? It says jam.
Jam, baby. Yeah. The night it's 3 a.m. The night is still young. Oh my god.
The true man stands up after all. Would you care? What? Okay. Didn't need to read that.
We'll try it again. Yeah, it's fine.
No thanks. I will take the break though, if you don't mind.
It
So now
seems
it's
like
just
that-
Larry and him.
It seems like that much cocaine couldn't possibly fit in one of those
Little teeny
little
yeah.
vials.
Yeah, he's got a couple vials maybe on him.
Yeah. Well, there's 5 lines right here, and
That's true.
they're already spun. So, all right. Great. This second panel, the Mobius is coming out.
Oh, it is, yeah.
The fine lines in Larry mostly. All right, cool. So Larry explains to us he was obviously moving the blow through the airline, but was he the boss? And all this guy cares about is having a good time and
Yeah.
playing pool.
And he's got his like great thing going, so he's not worried about, he doesn't have a worry in the world because he's just like, he parties all night, he works all day,
Yeah.
Everything's taken care of. He's wild
Larry
and crazy.
says, "Need we go further? No, we needn't."
Mm-hmm. You leave me many opportunities, my friend. Such is the game and such is life.
Look at he busts out his the lapel cufflink or whatever it is. He breaks that as he loosens his tie.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, he's just like, yeah. And I like your attitude, senor. And he said, no thanks to your cocaine. Continuing talking. Cocaine's my game too, my friend. The stakes are more subtle, that's all. So another great panel overhead. It's dark all around them, kind of silhouetted.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love the gray shadows on the figures.
Mm-hmm. And
Really
the like checkerboard pattern on the light.
Yeah, really nice. So anyway, after 5 hours of drugs and camaraderie, this guy just like tells him
He's letting
his
it flow.
scheme.
Yeah.
He just tells him his scheme. He's not a paid rep. He's posing as one. His mother founded the company, and he's able to control things invisibly, just like someone else we could name.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
He says, nobody knows me. No one even knows what I am. Like, no one, I'm flying under the radar, so to speak, to use some airplane talk.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, did I not just say that I am invisible? I do what the fuck I want. He loves it, and that's the only way he would have it. And it looks like his cornrows are showing right there. No, but I like the
yeah.
way.
Well, the range of line weights that Bernie uses. Look at the hair on his arm and also the hatching on his shirt.
Yep.
I love that. That's
Love it.
when I look at Evan Dorkin, that's what I really appreciate.
Yeah, well, I was thinking Dorkin too on this final panel. Yeah, so I really I was like, it's very Dorkin-y, and I've talked about it before. Is those like the lines right here, the accentuation on the bottom of the cheeks.
The cheek,
I love
yeah,
that thing.
where
Yeah,
the cheek meets the orbit.
Yes,
Yeah,
I love
very
that line.
cool.
So yeah, they're continuing playing. There's Larry smoking, and the swirls of smoke in this are great. Unfortunately, none of them leave the panels.
I know that's your favorite. That's your favorite part.
So then it looks like Larry. Oh no, he shoots. He has his last shot on the 8-ball, and it looks like he scratches on the 8-ball, losing to Larry. I knew I could get him to burn himself. Just a matter of time, ego, and snow. Mm-hmm. Larry
I don't want to admit that I don't really understand the rules of the game pool.
Oh,
That game pool. I don't.
Not a big pool player.
So I'm not. I don't know the rules of any game. I think any game.
Really?
Well, the game I play is like it's actually just theater. It's the D&D. It's just like
Oh,
it's
that's
just
true,
make
yeah.
believe. So
That's true, yeah.
I can't play poker. Like,
Yeah.
can't do it. My brain.
I've played a lot of pool. Pool was huge. Has always been a big game in my life.
So explain to me. So this is the last shot. The last shot of the game is whether you're solids or stripes.
Yeah,
The 8 ball comes last.
that's right.
So
and you can't scratch on it.
You can't. So a scratch is when the cue ball
Goes in after the 8 ball, and then you
I
lose.
see.
You lose that way. So
Okay.
you always got to call the 8 ball, and you always got to you can't scratch. And so he scratched. So he lost to Larry.
This is great comics because you see. This is great comics because you see the balls go in the hole. They're in the hole, and then they vanish.
Right. They like inside the pool table. There's these little ramps that so it's like
Great.
so good.
Great moment-to-moment storytelling.
Yep. And then so we go in and then again, like you see him again. Now these panels are amazing. Fuck, man, this spread is so good.
Yeah. Well,
This whole thing, Bernie, I love you.
There's 3 different grid sequences.
So
in this
awesome,
spread.
man.
So first we open up with a 10-panel grid.
Yeah.
But oh my God, look at panels 1 and 5. Is it? I know it counts an 8-panel grid. Excuse me, like what a schmuck. But
Yeah.
panels 1 and 5 are just Larry through the same space.
Well, yeah, really panels 1 and 2 and 5 and 6. It's basically one.
The 4
panel.
those 4
Yeah.
panels are one
Right,
panel.
right.
That's really crazy.
So
I
good.
wonder what that looks like in a script. It's like, is it like? Does
Yeah, it's
Matt
not
write
in it.
Does Matt write a script, or does he just draw a Harvey Picar stick figure layout?
He might. Yeah, he might.
Like, that's the thing that really gets me scratching my head about people that write comics, because it's like people spend a lot of time trying to figure out the format to write a comic, because screenwriting is so formatted and so regimented, but comics aren't screenplays.
No.
And so it's like, if you don't have specific layout things in mind, why are you writing comics?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and it doesn't always show.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think. Like some of these things, for me at least, you don't plan them. Like they just happen.
Mhm.
See, I feel like you can't always plan these types of things. Sometimes for me, like they just kind of happen in the page too. And there's no set way I would think like, yes, okay, Ben, I know you teach comics, but I feel like there's no like one way to do comics. It's
right,
like
absolutely not.
In the group, people are always like, in the cartoonist kayfabe ringside seats group, I feel like a lot of times people are like, oh, how do you do this? What's the best way to do it? And it's like, dude, it's got to be your way. Some people write a full script. Some people might write thumbnails. Some people might just scribble an idea.
Yeah. What I tell my college students frequently is we are not doing open heart surgery or fixing a car engine or doing corporate tax, corporate accounting stuff, right? Where there's very specific sequence of events. Creativity has to be fluid. And like you said, it has to happen on the page because that's where the jazz goes down, right? So I know what you're going to like. Look at this, panel 1. Did you see the skull and crossbones breaking out of the panel in the smoke?
I did not see that.
Unbelievable, Bernie.
So good.
Yeah.
Just amazing. And then, man, if I may take this next. Oh, my God. So, Larry's finishing up his cigarette.
Mhm.
And, I'm sure he'll just light another one. Flicks it out the window. We see it going down. We see it coming closer to this like static camera, and then the ash, the cherry becomes like the full screen. And so it kind of like if it was in a movie, it would come and take up the whole.
It would fill the screen.
Fill the screen, and then
oh God, it's
Larry lights up another one. He's snorting more out of his vial. And he's talking about he's always been good at getting stuff out of people.
Mm-hmm.
Next
and
panel,
that's what Hunter values in it.
Cut
it is. Back to the full.
God,
the full
cut
cherry.
back to the cigarette. and then we see that it's been skewered by Grendel's fork, and then he politely puts it out. Yeah. God, it's fucking genius.
So this is not okay. So here's what I'll say. This is not the first time Grendel has displayed exceptional skill with the accuracy of the fork.
Yeah.
We saw him, with him doing this exact same thing on a cigarette. Doesn't he? He throws his fork at Larry Palumbo and it skewers.
That's right. It skewers his cigar. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
man.
This is also not the first time that we've seen Larry exit a building and put someone in a car.
That's right.
This is their MO. This is Larry. This is your Larry mission. Do something, butter someone up, make them feel safe, and then we'll just lead them right into the trap.
Yep. Now Larry's ready to end the night, but the dude, I mean, he's still trying to party or whatever. He's like, driver, take me around Central Park a few times.
I wanted to add one more thing. We were talking before with Chadwick about Grendelin up on the roof doing that Batman brooding, which he does a lot. Mike Allred had him doing that. I'm sure there's tons of other examples.
Yeah.
Here, how Bernie Mireault is it? He's just standing in an alleyway next to trash.
Just chilling. Yeah.
That's so jam.
So jam. Yeah. Oh, man. And then, he's like, do you want to ride? And he's like, nah, it's cool. I got my own. Takes another toot, laughs a little bit, gets in the car. Again, great work here with the lights. Bernie's got ink splatter. That's kind of shows the street or the car lights.
And the dry medium exhaust. It looks dry.
Yeah, it kind of does. It's a little scratchy. And the outline of the car too is so cool. That huge hood ornament, the when they had the radio antennas, remember that?
Oh, that's right.
Cars don't have
this car has a touch of the Frank Miller to it. Just a touch.
And then this last page, man, beautiful, beautiful stuff. It looks to be a lovely dawn. No? Certainly, sir.
And everything
What's that red. Driving car? It's Grendel driving car.
Yeah. How can that be?
How can it be? Bear driving car? Clerk's cartoon reference. All right.
Yeah, there you go. And then everything is black and red except for Grendel's mask, which is white with gray.
That's right.
So cool. So powerful and effective.
Really well done.
Now I wonder if and then there's 2/3 of the page that's just ominous
fade to
black. Now I wonder if it was planned this way, or if maybe there was next issue or an ad or something like that. Because if you look at like 70s Jack Kirby stuff, the last page is just a half page, and then he'll tease what's coming next. But
that's a good question.
I mean, I think it's just supposed to be the doom that came to Bolivia.
Yeah. I wonder if this did appear elsewhere.
We'll have to find out.
I'm going to do a quick Google.
I think it does say in the indicia that Devil's Vagary had a different appearance, but it doesn't mention this one.
It doesn't.
In the indicia of the omnibus. It's funny because this story is dated 89, but there's no 89 trademark in all the years listed.
Yeah.
So I think this story, I could read all this carefully.
Well, it was in black, white, and red issue 2, so it was.
So there you go. It must have sat in a drawer.
Must have.
Case closed. I'm sure there's no more stuff. Don't ask Matt.
I'll try to ask Bernie maybe for next week. Yeah, or ask. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool.
Great. 3 great stories there. And next week, we have even more. Now, see, there's 5 stories left. So we'll do 3 and then 2, and then we'll figure out what happens with that. Maybe we can get with Matt to close out the black, white, and red for that one. But
the thing is that next week's the John Paul Leon one is going to be very fast.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just one word per panel.
Oh, okay.
Right? So
all right, so we might be able to get 4.
Yeah, it's going to be one word, probably a lot of Google dictionary.
To figure out what they are. Oh,
figure out what's going on.
Patience, direction, Grendel. If you search Grendel online, this image by Jean Paul Leon is one of the top. It's always there.
Which one?
The one on Jean Paul Leon, the first page at the bottom.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. All right, so it's Jean Paul Leon next week, and then this one with
Jay Geldof.
Jay Geldof. Right. I'm not crazy about this one.
Oh wow. Yeah, it's very like anime style.
And who's this? Scott Morse?
He's Scott Morse, yeah.
It is.
He's a Mahfood. He's a Mahfood.
Yeah,
buddy.
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like
He was on Cartoonscape Babe too.
Cool. And then, man, we'll have a good time.
Gonna be great. All right, Ben. Another great week of Grendelin. Keep on Grendelin. Vivat Grendel.
Vivat.